All right, so we've got a stack of articles here all about confidence. And specifically, it seems like you're interested in confidence at work, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So we're doing a deep dive, can unpack all this, help you boost that confidence. There's a lot to cover. It's interesting how much goes into it, from like practical tips to like the psychology of why it even matters.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating about confidence is it's not just about, feeling good. It really impacts how well you perform, how well you do at work. There's actually research that shows that when people believe they'll succeed, they actually end up doing better.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, there was one study about salespeople, and they use visualization techniques, and that's really all about like building that inner confidence, and they actually increase their sales significantly.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We've all heard that saying, like, fake it till you make it.
Right.
But this is like your brain actually believing in its own success, which I love.
Exactly, yeah.
One article mentioned, though, I thought this was interesting, where the opposite happened. So they told people to expect failure, and their performance tanked, which just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
It really proves how powerful our thoughts are.
It is amazing, yeah. Your brain believes what you tell it, whether it's positive or negative. So that's why things like positive self-talk or focusing on your strength, that's not just like fluffy advice. It's really about rewiring those thought patterns and changing them for the better.
So we've got to rewire for success.
Hmm.
Okay, so several articles mentioned really practical tips like dressing well, which I can get behind.
Right.
There's even one recommending power poses. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
So like how you stand can actually impact how confident you feel.
It's true.
But I want to talk about like setting goals first. A few sources kind of highlighted that. Why is that so important for building confidence?
Setting small goals, achievable goals, is so important, and it's like laying the groundwork for confidence. Because each time you actually hit a target, no matter how small, your brain gets that little hit of like, we win feeling, right?
Yes.
And it just reinforces that idea that you are capable, and it creates momentum.
So it's not about like aiming for the moon right away.
Yeah,
It's those smaller victories that add up over time.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got to talk about the confidence killers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we've all had those moments where we just feel totally deflated, especially at work.
Of course.
What do the sources say about those?
So one source highlighted some really common culprits, things like perfectionism, the dreaded micromanaging boss, or just feeling stuck in your job.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting. They framed these not as like these insurmountable obstacles, but as chances for empathy and personal growth.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah, so for example, imagine a micromanaging boss.
Oh, I don't have to imagine. I've had them.
Instead of letting it get under your skin, you could actually try to use it as an opportunity to practice patience. Or maybe even offer support, or try to gently guide them toward a different approach.
That's a pretty radical perspective shift. I like it.
It is.
But it's like turning a negative into a learning experience, which then boosts your confidence.
Exactly, exactly. True confidence often shines the brightest in those tough moments. It's about resilience, learning from your mistakes, and remembering your self-worth even when things are difficult.
Love that. Okay, several sources talked about banishing your inner critic.
Yeah,
Easier said than done.
much easier said than
So
done.
how do we actually put that into practice?
Well, our inner critics, can be persistent, but one really powerful technique is using daily affirmations.
Okay, so we're trying to quiet that inner critic.
Yeah.
One powerful way to do that, according to these sources, is daily affirmations. Is it really that easy?
It sounds simple, but consistently kind of feeding your mind with those positive statements, it can gradually start to change those negative thought patterns.
Yeah.
It really can.
So we just got to rewire.
It's like building a muscle. The more you practice self-compassion, you focus on your strengths, the stronger that confidence muscle gets.
I like that, building that muscle.
Yeah, and don't underestimate the power of those small but consistent actions over time. They really add up.
Small steps, big changes.
That's it.
It's like training your brain to focus on the positive, which is really cool. You know, speaking of positive traits, I'm curious about the line between confidence and arrogance. There are a couple of articles that touch on that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a distinction worth exploring, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a fine line between the two.
Right.
One source I read framed it as, like, arrogance is very outward focused.
Huh.
It's about impressing others and inflating your own importance.
Okay.
Whereas confidence is more about your own internal belief in yourself and what you're capable of.
So less about bragging, more about letting your work speak for itself.
Exactly.
I like that.
And it circles back to self-awareness, right? Truly confident people are comfortable with who they are, strengths, weaknesses, the whole package. They don't need to tear others down to build themselves up.
Because real confidence comes from within. It's not about being better than everyone else. It's about being the best version of yourself.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
And sometimes that means, like, recognizing you don't have all the answers and being open to learning from others.
You've hit the nail on the head. Confidence and humility can actually go hand in hand.
Totally.
When you're confident in your abilities, you're more likely to recognize the value that other people bring to the table. And so you're inspired by their success, not threatened by it.
That's huge.
Yeah,
And I feel like that attitude can totally change a workplace for the better.
absolutely.
Speaking of learning from others, a few articles mentioned finding a mentor. Why is that so important for building confidence?
Having a mentor is invaluable for confidence building, navigating those work challenges. Having someone who's been there, done that, who can offer guidance and support can make a world of difference.
It's like having your own personal cheerleader, someone who believes in you, even when you're doubting yourself.
Exactly. And a good mentor will give you honest feedback too,
Right.
help you figure out where you can grow, how to tackle those challenges.
So it's not just about, like, getting praise. It's having someone push you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. That's where real growth happens, when we're willing to try new things and kind of stretch those abilities. And speaking of challenges, one source brought up imposter syndrome,
Oh, imposter syndrome.
which I think a lot of people, especially in those demanding fields, can relate to.
Oh, yeah, that feeling of being a fraud, like you'll be found out any minute, even when you are successful. I think we've all been there at some point.
Absolutely. And it can really eat away at your confidence if you let it.
It can be sneaky. So how do we fight back against those imposter syndrome gremlins? What can we do when those feelings pop up?
I think the first step is realizing how common it is.
Right.
Imposter syndrome is very common, especially among high achievers.
Okay.
It's not a sign of weakness. It's often a side effect of success.
It's reassuring to know you're not the only one feeling that way.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And when those feelings come up, challenge them.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of what you've accomplished, the skills that you have, the value that you bring to the table. Focus on the facts, not the feelings.
Yes. Silencing that inner critic with cold, hard evidence.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to talk to someone you trust, a colleague, a mentor. Sometimes even just saying those feelings out loud can help take away their power.
Shining a light on those imposter syndrome gremlins, they tend to scatter.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And don't forget to celebrate your successes.
Yes.
Big and small, right? Recognizing and acknowledging those accomplishments is crucial for building confidence and combating those feelings of inadequacy.
So back to focusing on the positive and giving ourselves credit where credit is due. Speaking of taking action, there were a few articles with more concrete tips. Like there's one about how our physical presence can actually impact our confidence. What's the deal with that? It does seem counterintuitive that something as simple as what you're wearing could impact your state of mind. What's the science behind that?
It's all about the signals that we're sending to our brains, right?
Yes.
When you make an effort with your appearance, you stand up straight, you make eye contact, you're communicating confidence,
Yeah.
both to yourself and to the people around you.
Right.
And what's so fascinating is your brain picks up on those signals and actually starts to internalize them.
Wow.
So it's like a feedback loop.
I like that.
You're feeling good, you're projecting it outwards.
So it's not about being like vain or superficial or anything. It's about those external cues actually shifting our internal state,
Exactly.
like giving our brain a little nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything drastic.
Right.
It could be as simple as, making sure you're well-groomed, wearing clothes that make you feel good, practicing good posture throughout the day.
Small changes, big
Yeah.
impact. I love that. It's something we can all start doing today. No need to wait for a promotion or a life change or whatever to feel more confident.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about those small, consistent steps that, over time, make a really big difference. One last idea I wanted to touch on from the articles was the importance of your circle, like who you surround yourself with.
Oh, yeah.
Having those supportive people in your life is huge.
Having a strong support system is so important because it makes those challenges a little bit easier to face.
Absolutely.
And you can build confidence when you know you've got people in your corner.
Exactly. And it's not just about having, yes men, people that just tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
It's about surrounding yourself with people that you trust to give you honest feedback, positive and constructive.
It's about having people who believe in you,
Yeah.
challenge you to grow, and then are also there to help you up when you stumble.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think with that in mind, here's a final thought for you to kind of consider as you embark on your own confidence building journey.
Okay.
Be kind to yourself.
Uh,
This isn't a race, it's a process, right? There will be ups and downs, moments of self-doubt, times when you feel like you're moving backwards instead of forwards.
yeah, it's all part of the process.
It is, it is. So just, celebrate your progress, acknowledge your effort, and remember that you are worthy of confidence, just as you are.
And I love that. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. It's amazing how much, like, practical advice is out there, and it's all backed by research, which I love.
Right.
It's not just about feeling good. It's about understanding, like, the why behind it and how we can really use that to our advantage.
It's a fascinating field, and it's one that I think more and more people are realizing can make a real difference in their lives, both personally and professionally.
Well, for anyone listening who is ready to boost their own confidence, just remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Start small, be kind to yourself, and celebrate those wins along the way. Your future, more confident self will thank you for it.